Switching mortgage companies in 2026 can probably be one of the most confusing things if you're not using data and if you're not using it well. If you're thinking about switching companies, you really should be going back 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. How well are some of these companies performing? If you look at them almost like a stock, okay? Not all companies are created equal, not all value propositions matter to you. And not all leaders at those companies are created equal. And if someone's going to be your leader, then you really want to know how well is the company, how not just currently performing, but how well they've been performing. My name's Thomas Meister. If you haven't met me yet, I'm the loan officer's agent. Every single week, I started doing this weekly report on who's switching companies on a weekly basis. You can go back, look at some of my other YouTube videos, but every single week, gainers and losers, we're going to be doing monthly, quarterly. We'll be doing some other look backs. I have a few videos I've been working on that I'll be putting out. And you know what? I think that there's a headline I saw recently, and I took a snippet of it and I want to throw it here, okay? And this is from Rob Chrisman. So Movement Mortgage continues to attract experienced originators across the country with 49 loan officers joining the company in early 2026, okay? Including 17 boomerangs, so like returning loan officers. So I share that with you because sure, I'm all for healthy growth, and maybe there's a really good story there. But if you've been paying attention, that I don't know if that actually is going to end up penciling out, because if you pull up Movement Mortgage and you look back, I don't know, year to date, let's see. Usually the easiest way to do this is just by all companies, and then you can sort by the way, we're using Redder. If you want to get access to Redder, link in the description, you can get access and search to your heart's content all the different mortgage companies, right? So one thing I love about Redder is it breaks it down nice and simple for the data. We're going to look back just, let's do past quarter, right? That's almost the entire year. So that's a little misleading, because if you say 49 loan officers have chosen to join Movement Mortgage in 2026, well, actually 78 have, right? But 128 chose to leave, and that's really bad, actually. Like this is the territory of like really bad. If in the last quarter you've lost net 50 loan originators for $332 million. I have friends at Movement, by the way, so I'm going to say this as well and include this, and I want to make sure this is included in the clip. A lot of my friends are perfectly fine at Movement. Nothing's necessarily wrong. Why did these people leave? Did they get attracted somewhere else? Did they get a better offer? Well, hey, let's just look, and we're going to peek really quickly. Where have some of these bigger people gone? CMG. Okay, so there's a pattern there. A number of people going to CMG here. I also like to quickly sort this way to see, okay, if there's a standout. New American Funding. Looks like a lot of people in the last quarter. New American Funding is a standout. Cross Country is a big standout. CMG. And then, a lot of, we do like to look at who are the $10 million plus producers. How many companies, how well are they doing at attracting $10 million plus producers? Okay. So I share that with you so you can look at the data and then decide for yourself. We hear a lot of things in mortgage, right? Like on LinkedIn or other places. And God forbid if you hear it from a recruiter. I'm a retired recruiter, by the way. I don't believe in recruiting anymore. I believe in representation. Let's just look at the data and let it speak for themselves. Okay. If I'm going to refer one of my clients, because I represent loan officers like a sports agent represents top producers, I'm going to refer them to based on what do they need. Okay. First and foremost, I'm not focused on recruiting to companies. I'm focused on representing my clients. And not all my clients are interested in moving, by the way. So if you want to see what that looks like, reach out to me. I think I have a link in my bio in the description below. You can find time for us to meet, and I can share with you what is it like to actually have an agent, to have a representative versus a recruiter. There's a big difference. So we're going to look at the gainers and losers for IMBs, brokers, and banks in the last week. Okay, so coming in at number one, and actually it's an interesting shock this week because Cross Country Mortgage, they're actually a loser. And I shouldn't smile or laugh about it, but it's kind of comical at this point because they're always winning. They're always in the top three. And so it's like, maybe we can get a break. So for any of you out there who work at Cross Country, I have a lot of friends at Cross Country. I have a lot of friends who are interested in joining Cross Country and not, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So New American Funding coming in at number one this week. And it's by a pretty substantial margin, okay? It's not as close as sometimes it is. Or, there's some people bringing in, like it's a tie for second place, right? At 8 with Loan Depot and Alcove. And Loan Depot not actually, and Alcove new to the top 3. And Loan Depot, I think they're actually new to the top 3 as well. They've had some showings up here, but we're going to look at the 3 companies and we're going to chart them. Okay. We're going to look at them almost like we would stock. So let's focus on the last week. New American Funding in the last week, net gain, 14 loan officers, $196 million of annualized production. That's huge. So New American Funding has been on a tear. They're one of the few companies that when you chart them out, performing very well. Okay, so let's see in the last week how many $10 million plus producers coming in here. Okay, so some very big producers this week, and there's a variety actually. So that's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 $10 million plus producers coming in, and who left? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 $10 million plus producers leaving as well. One going to a bank. Luminate Bank operates, it's a bank, but it operates like an IMB direct lender. You can own a P&L there. West Capital Lending, one of the fastest growing, or the fastest growing broker in the country right now, and one of the top. Another broker. So, okay, and 2 loanDepot. So there's some people coming in, but people going out as well. But overall, a great week for New American Funding. Let's look at the last 2 weeks. They're up $452 million. Month, $822 million. Quarter, $1.83 billion. 6 months, so half a year, $1.93 billion. And then the last year, $2.38 billion annualized production growth, net gain of 200 plus loan officers for New American Funding. It's undeniable, right? Whether you're into New American Funding or not, or they're not your flavor, right? Or you feel like your market's too saturated. New American Funding is doing exceptionally well in growth this year and the last week. So next, we're going to be looking at loanDepot. And again, loanDepot, excited to see them up here at the top, okay? They are tied this week, but let's see what the performance is, and we're going to chart it out as well. So you get a quick sneak peek there. So let's see. In the last week, net gain of 8 loan officers for $58 million of annualized production. That's really good. Okay. So who's coming in? How big are the producers coming in? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to give them, we usually counting $10 million plus producers because we want to see, it's a good indicator of what a company is doing well or not well if they're leaving, right? But great showing, a production this week coming into loanDepot, and then lost. 1, 2, 3, 4. So some bigger producers leaving as well, but still a great week for loanDepot. So loanDepot coming in tied for number 2 this week. And then Alcova Mortgage. I actually don't know anyone there. So if you do, or you work there, drop a comment and let me know what makes Alcova Mortgage special, what makes them unique in their approach. Okay. In the last week, and we do need to measure loanDepot as well. By the way, sorry about that. We're going to go back and make sure we also open a new window, and we'll get loanDepot loading because sometimes the data can take a second here, right? So Alcova in the last week, net gain of 8 loan originators for $5.4 million. It's okay, right? Like it's because that's a couple of loans, but they didn't lose anybody. They just gained people, and it looks like no $10 million plus producers coming in, right? So honestly, you could even argue this is flat because there's no $10 million plus producers. So really, I would not put Alcova. I'll probably actually give it to one of the honorable mentions. So loanDepot then going to be number 2, but let's chart loanDepot. Okay, so past week, in the last 2 weeks, they're actually down $43 million annualized production. Month down $334 million. Quarter $545 million. 6 months $1.12 billion. Just keeps getting worse. And year $1.78 billion. Okay, you can see this time last year, this is where they were. This is how many originators they have. So interesting, they have more originators now and do less production. $1.8 billion to be precise. So that's a great week for loanDepot, but you can see the trend. The trend is people are moving away, and bigger producers are coming in. So they're obviously doing some things well, but I'll let the data speak for itself. Alcova, since we did have it on there, I'm just going to quickly throw them for the last year. So actually, Alcova has grown $252 million annualized production in the last 12 months and net gain of 36 originators. Even in the last quarter, it's 191 million, and 2 weeks, 12 million. So if you go back, a month is 20 million, quarter, 6 months. So they're actually on a growth trend, right? Like Alcova, even though they're not the biggest, right? They're the same time last year, they were 2.04 billion. Now they're 2.32 billion. So they're growing, right? So they're, as charted out, Alcova doing well. All right. So do we want to throw in an honorable mention? Yes, we're going to throw in Guild Mortgage, because Guild Mortgage has technically been a loser going back a little bit farther. Okay. But in the last week, I want to make sure that, again, I'm not throwing shade at any of the companies because beauty's in the eye of the beholder. What we're doing is being honest about, okay, so this is the first gainer, they're flipping, right? Like just because you gained loan officers doesn't mean you gained production, right? And of course, by the way, this chart, let me know if I should make this publicly available, right? Like if you want to get this, a link to it on a weekly basis, I could do that. This becomes a bit of a rabbit hole if you want to dive into it to say, oh, okay, well, let's see how some of these other companies are doing. Just because you gain loan originators doesn't mean that you gain production. So Guild Mortgage, the first one to not follow that trend. So they gained 6 originators, but lost $45 million of annualized production. So they lost some bigger producers. Okay. 1, 2, 3 $10 million plus producers. Or sorry, that was gained. They gained 3 $10 million plus producers, and they're losing one bigger producer will probably push it over. And this person's license is inactive, but you can see a trend here. Maybe they're all fairway. I don't know. We don't know where they are yet, right? When this shows inactive, it's not inactive. It just means they haven't landed yet. Their license isn't on, right? Or we haven't gotten that data yet. When someone has joined a company and it shows that, you're able to easily see. You can click on them and then scroll down, and there's a gap in their license when they left their previous company started. You can find that out. So Guild Mortgage, just a quick snapshot at, right? They're kind of down. They've been going down, right? So down 150 million in the last month, a quarter, 402 million, 6 months, not as bad, 230 million, and year, not as bad, 140 million. So they have 12 months, not as bad, but it's more recently that they're actually performing more poorly, you could say. So I'll let the data speak for itself. Honorable mentions, because Guild was going to be one of them, but Alcova is kind of flat. It doesn't really count. So Cornerstone First Mortgage, net gain of 5 loan originators, and T2 Financial also 5. And hey, we have to throw it in there because they're also tied for 5 is Canopy Mortgage. All right, so now we're going to move over to brokers. Okay, so gainers on the broker side. We're going to do the gainers on brokers, banks, and then we're going to reverse order for losers. So Loan Factory coming in at number 1, and a little bit of a gaining ahead of the pack right here. We have noticed that Loan Factory is definitely driving a lot of licenses. Curious if this is going to represent production as well. That's the last year. So we'll back it up, but no, in the last week. So my hunch, there's a reason I said that out loud. I had a hunch that they're adding licenses, but it's not translating to production. So net gain of 24 licensed loan officers, but loss of $44 million. So who's coming in? We got $10 million plus producer, and they came from another broker. That is also a trend that we're noticing is a lot of brokers are moving to other brokers, and they're moving to some of them back to IMBs. On the IMB side, you have more IMB to IMB movement. And yes, there are IMB loan officers going into the broker channel, but not as much as we saw the data showed for the last year. So that was gained. Let's look at lost, losing a bigger producer to Insure, and then another bigger, well, actually they went together. So 2 $10 million plus producers heading out. So not a good week for Loan Factory. And as you could tell, because that's where it started, they're down 39 million a month, up 86 million over the last quarter. So that's not bad. Up in the last 6 months, up $343 million. And then year, up $731 million annualized production. So only in the last month, more people leaving Loan Factory than joining. So we'll let the data speak for itself. Coming in at number 2, we have Nexa. Nexa also adding a lot of licensed individuals that don't necessarily do production, but let's see. Okay. So that's in the last week, net gain of 18 loan originators, but loss of about $13 million annualized production. That's a lot of licenses, right? So 2, I'll count it, 2 $10 million plus producers coming in, and losing no $10 million plus producers, but losing, I guess, more people that actually did production, right? Like if you were to just add it all up, obviously, right? So more people, they're bringing in more newly licensed people, right? Or not even newly licensed. They just didn't do production previously or over the last 12 months, or it wasn't in their name. So by the way, we need to call that out, is that it's always possible that some of these people are on teams and their production is not in their name. So when we look at this though, if all these people had have worked at the company over the last 12 months, this is how much business they would have done, okay? And that's again in the last week. So if we look at the last year, right, then you can see they're up over the last year. But again, it's a gain of close to $500 million, and they've added 422, right, loan officers. So not a good week for Barrett, actually, right? All right, Nexa, not necessarily a good week for Nexa. Barrett Financial Group. So coming in at number 3, were they tied? Do my eyes deceive me? They were tied. They're going to be tied with Prime America, actually, and that's why I selected both. As I color code this for you guys, so it's easier. The more gold it is, that's one of my accent colors for my company. Okay, so last week, great week for Barrett Financial Group. Net gain of 9 loan originators for $100 million of annualized production. Let's have a look at who's coming in. Bigger producer from First Colony Mortgage, so IMB, I believe it's an IMBs. Barrett Financial actually bringing in a lot of IMB style loan officers, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, $10 million plus producers coming into Barrett Financial. And who's leaving? One $10 million plus producer leaving, going to another broker, going to Loan Factory. Okay, so let's back up. Barrett they're the largest mortgage company or broker, right now. In the last month, they've grown by $324 million. In the last quarter, 804, 6 months, 1.5 billion, and year, $2.5 billion of annualized production growth for Barrett. So Barrett performing very well in the last 12 months and week. So coming in tied for number 3 is Prime America. So Prime America, we've seen them actually on gainers and losers. So they've been in the top and in the bottom. It's been interesting. In the last week, it's flat because that's one loan, one small loan. But net gain of 9 loan originators for $226 million annualized production. In the last month, they're flat. Quarter, they're flat. 6 months, they're flat. And year, they're flat. So Prime America, people come in, people come out. That's a lot of movement, actually. But at the end of the day, they've gained more originators to do the same amount of production. I'll let the data speak for itself. Is that my new catchphrase? I guess I just started saying it. Sorry. All right. So Edge Home Finance, honorable mentions. We've got Edge Home Finance, net gain of 7 loan originators, Direct Rate. I actually know the owner of Direct Rate. So they are smaller, technically, but he's focused on just quality of his own people. So I am going to give a shout out to somebody, especially if I know them, doing good work, right? So net gain of 5 originators for Direct Rate. And Turnkey Foundation, I know them as well. So net gain of 3. If you want to dive into it and see, does it actually translate to production? Turnkey Foundation, they've actually shown up now, I would say in the past couple of weeks, consistently, right? Going back over a month. So they're kind of consistently coming up here in the top brokers. All right. So now banks do not operate like brokers and IMB lenders in that a lot of the people who work there, it's not their business, you could say, right? Like it's not their referral partners, it's from the bank, right? So if they switch companies, it is not guaranteed to come with them. So for that purpose, there's only a few companies, and I'm growing the list, okay, of companies that operate more like IMBs, right? Where the majority of the people at the company, it's their self-source business. And don't get me wrong, I have friends at these companies where the opposite is true. It's all their business, right? Like Huntington National Bank, JP Morgan Chase, etc. So we've got Prime America, actually. So we've got 2 banks coming up here in the gainers. So both, I think, gain 3. Yeah, both are going to be gaining 3. So we're technically tied for first. So we're going to see how Prime Lending did in the last week, and we'll chart them out. So it's a good opportunity to kind of let the data speak for itself. So last week, great week for Prime Lending, gaining 3 originators for $51 million annualized production. So hey, they're coming up in last week, putting up some numbers. Let's see who it was really quickly. Bringing in a bigger producer, new or previously inactive. I could click this and see who it was. So 1 bigger producer coming in and none leaving. In the last month, they're up 70 million. Quarter, they're down 11 million. 6 months, they're up 66 million. And year, they're up only 13 million. So they're kind of ping-ponging around, right? So charted out, Prime Lending has been kind of vacillating back and forth between good, not good, good, not good. So they're kind of flat, right? And you can see right here, they've lost more originators than they've gained, but they're up slightly in production. So they're not just piling on bodies, right? Like they're focused on quality, you could say, right? So Prime Lending is actually a big gainer for this past week on the banks. So next we have Luminate. So Luminate Bank, I have many a friend at Luminate Bank. I know them well. In the last week, gain of 3. So whoa, okay. So they both gained 3, but good producers, right? Because they're bringing in $45 million annualized production, and that is across 2 $10 million plus producers. So great week for Luminate Bank. Let's see how they're doing last month. A little bit more flat going back a month. Quarter up 81 million. 6 months up 211 million, and year up $1.21 billion annualized production. So Luminate Bank, having a great week and also performing well, going back 12 months. All right, so losers. It's time for the weekly losers, okay? And just because we're looking at one snapshot of the data, I encourage you to do your homework and remember, let's look farther back. But this is fun, okay? We want to see, whoa, why did Wells Fargo lose so many people? Okay, I don't think we're going to get into any of the losers on the bank side. Gateway lost 2. We'll skip it, okay? But that's crazy. Wells Fargo lost 3 or got rid of. They could have not been doing production, right? So Wells Fargo, anticipating maybe business is going to be struggling, something's going to be happening. You could look at the economy and like, anyway, my thoughts right there is like, what could potentially people are anticipating, right? They're doing layoffs, maybe also AI. Everybody's talking about AI these days, okay? So looking at the brokers, losers, what do we see here? We've got eMortgage, and it's not even close. They lost 53 people. Okay, I want to know, how much production did those 53 people do? Because again, just because you are gaining or losing loan originators, does that translate into a movement with production? The next biggest loser is going to be Clear Mortgage Capital, net loss of 5. And then Home First Lending is the next bigger company, losing 3. So let's see, eMortgage Capital. Last week, it's not good, right? So 53, net loss of 53 loan originators, but for getting rid of 53 or net loss of 53 to only lose $14.5 million of annualized production, let's see. No $10 million plus producers started, and probably non-producers, I'm going to guess. All non-producers. So they're getting rid of people that aren't producing, right? So just like Wells Fargo got rid of a bunch of people, that is a trend that we've seen. People are being let go, you could say, right? Like being told, hey, like if you don't hit a minimum threshold or something, that we're going to, nothing personal, but we just have to get rid of some people. There's always costs sometimes to having, we're told with brokers that there isn't costs, right? But there's costs to those people and probably bandwidth to the company. There's sometimes costs, even if it's not necessarily directly monetary. Okay. All right. So not really among the blatant losers here that we can see on the bottom. No real big losers on the broker side for this past week. Okay. So now looking at banks or IMBs. Looking at IMBs, Envoy Mortgage not having a good week. Net loss of 8 loan originators. And we want to see how that, I'm going to do it this way because I don't want to click the wrong name sometimes. There you go. LTD, Envoy Mortgage LTD. So net loss of 8 originators for $90 million of annualized production. Not good. Bad. So how many bigger producers was that? 1, 2, 3. 3 $10 million plus producers heading out. Okay. And I want to say none of them went to brokers. I think I'm going to start paying more attention to that because I want to call it out. I want you guys to know, okay? How has Envoy been doing? I think this is the first time they've ended up on the gainers or losers list. So in the last 2 weeks, it's about the same. Month, not as bad at negative 66 million. Quarter, not as bad at negative 43.5 million. 6 months, not as bad at 34 million. Year, they're actually up $87.5 million. Okay, so in the last year, they're performing well, but they're, not, it's coming down. It's coming down a little bit, you can see. So I'll let the data speak for itself. All right, coming in to biggest loser for IMB lenders, it's Union Home Mortgage. All right, so we're going to pull them up and we're going to see if a net loss of loan officers translates to production. And it does. Gaining nobody, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons, is when you're a bigger mortgage company, you have a week where you bring nobody in. Yes, it's definitely going to show on the paper. So net loss of 7 and $58 million of annualized production. Okay, well, who left and where'd they go? So 3 $10 million plus producers leaving. We don't know where 2 of them have landed yet. 1 Home Mortgage Advisors. Okay, so not a good week for Union Home Mortgage. Last 2 weeks, they're down 65.9 million. Month, they're down 82 million. Quarter, they're down 228 million. 6 months, they're down 625 million. Year, they're down 159 million. So in the last year, so going back a year, it's not as bad, but it's gotten worse in more recent times. Okay. And this last week, no exception to that. So Union Home Mortgage, not having a good week and also not trending in a very good direction. I have friends who actually work there, so I will let the data speak for itself. Number 3. CMG. So CMG has actually been growing a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually flip the script and they're gainers on production. It's kind of flat, you could say, for a company their size, right? 13 million, right? So net loss of 6 originators for 13 million who came in. I wonder if it's bigger producers and they wash each other out. Gaining 2 $10 million plus producers and losing 2 as well. So there you go. That kind of explains it. Oh, one went to Rocket. Why? Why'd you go to Rocket? For leads? Oh, they could have, because Rocket bought Redfin, and Bay Equity was kind of a part of that. So all those Bay Equity loan officers are now part of Rocket. So maybe they're going into the Redfin partnership. I could click it and see, but I'm going to stay out of the rabbit hole on that today. All right, guys. So that is the gainers and losers for this week. If you got something out of this video, please like the video and leave a quick comment. One thing that you found the most value in. It's going to help the algorithm gods and more people like you will see this content. I appreciate you for watching this far, and I'll see you in next week's video. Cheers.